Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest, the return of our Warriors, a big Monday showdown, and everything you need to know. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly excited about a Chelsea Monday fixture? Not just interested, not just hopeful, but genuinely, deeply excited. Well, get ready, because May 4th, 2026 is shaping up to be one of those special days. Two familiar names are on the verge of returning to the Chelsea matchday squad. The team just came off a brilliant FA Cup semi-final win, and Stamford Bridge is about to host a game that means a whole lot for both sides. Whether you are a long-time member of the Lucy Chelsea analysis community or someone who just started following the Blues, this one is worth your full attention. Grab a cup of tea, sit down, and let us walk through everything together. The story that has everyone talking. Levi Colwill is back. If you have been following Chelsea closely this season, you already know how painful it has been to watch Levi Colwill sit on the sidelines. For those who may need a quick reminder, here is what happened. Last summer during pre-season, Colwill suffered an ACL tear. If you know anything about knee injuries in football, you know that a torn ACL is one of the most serious injuries a player can go through. It is not just a few weeks out. We are talking months and months of rehabilitation, pain management, gym work, and mental strength. It is a long, lonely road. Colwill has been on that road for the entire 2025 to 26 season. He has not kicked a ball in a competitive first-team match all campaign. Think about that for a second. A player who was one of our most promising defenders, a guy who scored the goal that sent Chelsea to the Champions League last season, has been completely absent. And honestly, we have missed him badly. But here's the good news, and it really is good news. Levi Colwill has returned to full first-team training. Not light jogging, not solo sessions on a separate pitch. Full first-team training with the rest of the squad. That is a massive step forward. It means his body has recovered enough to handle the intensity of working alongside his teammates every single day. And it gets better. To help him build up his match fitness, Chelsea sent him out to play 90 minutes for the under-21s. 90 full minutes. That means his legs held up, his knee responded well, and the medical team felt confident enough to let him play a full game. That is not something they would do unless they were sure he was ready. Chelsea have been incredibly careful with this process, and rightly so. Now, interim head coach Callum McFarlane has confirmed it officially. Colwill is in contention to return to the matchday squad for the game against Nottingham Forest. Is that not something? After all those months away, after all that hard work, Levi Colwill could be back on a Chelsea matchday squad sheet as early as Monday. So the big question the whole community is asking is this: will he actually play, or will he just be on the bench as a precaution? We will get to that in a moment. Reece James is also back, and that is equally huge. It is not just Colwill making headlines this week. Reece James, Chelsea's captain and one of the best right-backs in world football on his day, has also returned to full training ahead of the Forest match. McFarlane confirmed both players are back and looking sharp in sessions. Now, James has also had his fair share of injury problems over the past couple of seasons. The guy has barely been able to string together a run of games without something going wrong. Every time he starts to look fit and sharp, another setback comes along. Chelsea fans have had to develop a lot of patience when it comes to Reece James. It has not been easy. But seeing both him and Colwill back in training at the same time, being confirmed fit by the manager ahead of a Premier League fixture, this feels different. This feels like a moment the squad has been waiting for. McFarlane spoke about both players at his pre-match press conference, and his words were calm but positive. He said both are back in training and both are looking good. He also made it clear that the medical team is taking a very careful day-by-day approach. Nobody is being rushed. Nobody is being thrown straight back in just to fill a position. The focus is on long-term health, not short-term convenience. That is the right approach. We have seen too many times what happens when clubs rush players back from serious injuries. They pick up the same problem again, or they go down with something else because their body was not fully ready. Chelsea and McFarlane seem very aware of this, and that should give fans confidence that whatever decision is made on Monday, it is the right one. Who will miss out for Chelsea? Before we talk tactics and predictions, let us be honest about the players who will not be available for Monday's game. Estevão Willian is out. The young Brazilian winger, who has shown some real moments of quality this season, will not be in the squad. Jamie Gittens is also unavailable. And goalkeeper Filip Jorgensen is sidelined too, which means Georgi Petrovic or Robert Sanchez will be between the sticks. These are notable absences, particularly Estevão and Gittens, who have both provided energy and creativity from wide positions at various points this season. Their absence narrows McFarlane's options going forward, which makes the potential returns of James and Colwill even more important in terms of squad depth and morale. Chelsea's season so far, a rough road with one big bright spot. Let us be honest with each other, because that is what this community is about. Chelsea's Premier League season in 2025-26 has been difficult to watch. As things stand, the Blues are on a 5-game losing streak in the league. Not just losing, but failing to score in any of those 5 games. Not a single goal across 5 matches. That is the first time Chelsea have gone through a run like that since 1912. Yes, you read that right. 1912. The lowest point came in the match before the international break, when Chelsea were hammered 3-0 by Brighton at the Amex. It was a performance without energy, without ideas, and without any real belief. It was a painful day to be a Chelsea fan, and the result cost Rosenior his job. He was sacked in the days that followed, and Callum McFarlane was brought in as interim head coach to steady the ship. Now, some of you in the community have been asking whether McFarlane is the right man to take charge, even temporarily, and that is a fair question. But the early signs have been positive, because just days after taking over, McFarlane oversaw one of the most important results of the season. Chelsea beat Leeds United 1-0 in the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. Enzo Fernandez scored with a header in the first half, and that goal was enough to send the Blues to a cup final against Manchester City. It also ended a 3-game run without scoring. Finally, a goal. Finally, a clean sheet. Finally, a reason to smile. That result did not just matter for the trophy. It gave the players confidence. It proved that even during a rough patch in the league, this team can show up for the big occasion. McFarlane has spoken about building on that momentum going into the Forest game, and you can understand why. The players needed that win just as much as the fans did. So Chelsea go into this game with mixed feelings. They are hurting from 5 straight league defeats, but they are coming off a Wembley high. That is a strange but interesting place to be. What is at stake for Chelsea on Monday? Even though Chelsea are currently sitting uncomfortably close to the bottom half of the table, their Champions League hopes are not completely dead. Here is the thing. It is complicated, but stick with us. Chelsea would need a lot of things to go their way, including results involving other clubs. But if Aston Villa managed to finish in the top 5 and also win the Europa League, then the 6th place spot in the Premier League could come with a Champions League ticket. That would bring Chelsea back into the picture, depending on what happens in the final games of the season. It is a long shot, for sure. But it is not impossible, and that means Monday's game against Nottingham Forest matters more than a mid-table clash might suggest. Every point from here until the end of the season has value. Every result matters. Chelsea cannot afford to drop points at home if they want to keep any hope alive. Add to that the morale factor. The players, the fans, the staff, everyone needs a win. A home win against a direct rival for European places would do wonders for the mood around the club. And after the FA Cup semi-final, there is at least some belief that this team can still produce. Nottingham Forest, do not underestimate the tricky trees right. Now let us talk about the visitors, because if anyone in the community is thinking Chelsea will just walk this one, please think again. Nottingham Forest are in really good shape right now. Vita Pereira's side is on a 9-game unbeaten run across all competitions. 9 games. That is not just a purple patch. That is a team with real momentum and real structure. They have won 4 games in a row heading into this match, which means they are travelling to Stamford Bridge full of confidence. In the Premier League, their last outing was a stunning 5-0 win over Sunderland. 5 goals, clean sheet. That is a statement result. And they secured it while also preparing for a European semi-final in the same week, which shows real squad depth and focus from Pereira and his staff. The Europa League side of things is equally impressive. Forest beat Aston Villa 1-0 in the first leg of the semi-final, with Chris Wood scoring a second-half penalty at the City ground. That result leaves them in a fantastic position to reach the final. And while some might think that puts pressure on them to rest players for the second leg, Forest have shown all season that they take every game seriously. From a historical perspective, Forest have not lost at Stamford Bridge since coming back to the Premier League in 2022. That is 3 visits, 1 win, and 2 draws. They are not afraid of the blue side of London. They know they can get results there, and that knowledge is worth a lot in football. What does Forest want from this game? Primarily, they want to stay as far away from the relegation zone as possible. They are currently 8 points clear of the drop, which is a decent cushion, but in football, nothing is guaranteed until the maths says otherwise. 3 points at Stamford Bridge would go a long way towards securing Premier League football for next season. Nottingham Forest team news, their own injury worries. Forest are not going into this game at full strength either. Ola Aina, their experienced fullback, was forced off during the Europa League semi-final and is listed as doubtful. That is a real concern for Pereira, given how important Aina has been to their shape this season. There are also a number of other doubts. Dan Ndoye, Ibrahim Sangare, Jair Cunha, and Murillo all missed the Villa game, and their fitness for Monday is uncertain. When you add those names to the players who are already confirmed out, including Nicolo Savona, Callum Hudson-Odoi, John Victor, and Willie Bowley, Forest are dealing with a fairly thin squad for this trip to London. That could work in Chelsea's favour. If some of Forest's key players are missing or not at full fitness, the Blues might be able to exploit gaps that would not normally be there. But Chelsea will need to be at their best to take advantage. Half-hearted performances have cost them all season. Predicted lineups. What could the teams look like? Based on everything we know from team news and the style both managers have shown, here is how the two teams could set up on Monday. Chelsea are expected to line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Sanchez in goal, a back four of Gusto, Fofana, Chalobah, and Cucurella. Lavia and Caicedo as the double pivot in midfield. Palmer, Fernandes, and Pedro Neto in the attacking midfield positions. And João Pedro leading the line as the striker. That would be a strong starting 11 if everyone is fit and available. Palmer is one of the most creative players in the Premier League on his day. Fernandes is the kind of player who can produce something special when the mood is right. And João Pedro, when he is sharp, can be a real handful for any defence. Nottingham Forest are expected to set up in a 4-4-2. Sells in goal, Abbott, Milenkovic, Morato, and Williams in a back four. A midfield four of McAtee, Anderson, Dominguez, and Gibbs-White. And a front two of Taiwo Awoniyi or Carlos Miguel Jesus partnered with Rodrigo Bacau-Luca. Gibbs-White, in particular, is a player Chelsea will need to keep an eye on. He has the ability to link play and find pockets of space in ways that can really hurt opposition defences. If Chelsea give him too much freedom, he will cause problems. The memory that keeps coming back. Colwill's goal. Last season. We cannot write this piece without going back to what happened at the City ground in May 2025, because it is the kind of story that makes football so special. Chelsea played Nottingham Forest in one of the final games of the 2024-25 Premier League season. Chelsea needed to win. Champions League qualification was on the line. And it was Levi Colwill, our tall, calm centre-back from Brighton, who stepped up and scored the only goal of the game in a 1-0 victory that sealed Chelsea's place in the Champions League. After the game, when asked how he felt, Colwill kept it humble and honest in that typical way of his. He said it felt good but did not feel real at first. He spoke about how much time was still left in the game and how the team had to stay focused. And then he said something beautiful. He said he looks at his teammates like family and that they all worked for each other all season. Those are not empty words. You can tell when a player genuinely means something, and Colwill meant every word of that. He is not the type who shouts about himself. He just works, he cares, and he delivers when it matters most. And now, almost a year later, after months of rehab, pain, and patience, he could be back in the squad for another Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest game. The coincidence of that is not lost on anyone. The community has been talking about it all week. Will lightning strike twice? Could Colwill actually come on at some point on Monday and make an impact? We do not want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the thought is certainly there. Callum McFarlane. First impressions and the challenge. Ahead. Let us take a moment to talk about the man in charge, because his role in all of this matters. Callum McFarlane was not widely known outside Chelsea circles before he stepped into the interim role. He was part of the coaching staff working behind the scenes, and his appointment was a practical one born out of necessity after Rosenior's departure. But in the time he's been in charge, he has made a quiet but clear impression. His approach to the Colwill and James situation tells you a lot about him. A different kind of manager might have rushed both players back just to have their names available, to show the board that he is getting results with the squad he has. But McFarlane has not done that. He has been patient. He has let the medical team lead the process. He has communicated openly with the press about where both players are, without giving anything away that might build false expectations. That kind of measured approach builds trust. Players trust a manager who does not throw them under the bus or rush them back before they are ready. And fans can respect a manager who is honest about the situation rather than spinning it in a positive direction when the reality is more complicated. The FA Cup semi-final win was a big moment for him personally. It gave him credibility. It gave the players belief in his methods. Now, the question is whether he can translate that into a league result on Monday. What the Lucy Chelsea analysis community is saying. We have seen a lot of discussion across the community this week, and it is great. People are asking smart questions, sharing thoughtful opinions, and debating the lineup choices in that passionate but respectful way that makes this space so enjoyable. The most common question we are seeing is, should Colwill start or come off the bench? Honestly, most voices in the community lean toward a careful introduction. Start him on the bench, bring him on in the second half if the game is manageable, and let him get 20 or 30 minutes under his belt. That seems like the safest and most sensible approach, given how long he has been out. A few community members have raised concerns about the overall defensive shape. Without Reece James at full strength, that right side has looked vulnerable at times this season. If James is not quite ready and gusto continues there, he will need full support from the players around him. There are also fans who are cautious about the league form. 5 defeats in a row is not just bad luck. It suggests something has been wrong with the team's setup, mentality, or both. And while the FA Cup win was brilliant, Forest are a completely different opponent to Leeds. They are more organised, more dangerous on the counter, and they have shown this season that they can grind out results in tight games. But the general mood in the community going into Monday is cautiously optimistic. We have something to be excited about with the Colwill and James returns. We have confidence from Wembley, and we have the home crowd behind us. Prediction. What happens on Monday? Here is our honest prediction for how Monday plays out. Chelsea come out with energy from the start, driven by the home crowd and the boost of having Colwill and James potentially involved. Palmer is the key man. If he gets on the ball early and finds space between Forest's lines, Chelsea can create chances. João Pedro needs to be clinical. Forest will be organised and dangerous on the break. Gibbs-White will look to pick up the ball in dangerous areas. And Wood or their strike pairing will be physical and hard to push around. Forest are not coming to London just to park the bus, but they will be smart and disciplined. Our prediction is Chelsea 2-1 Nottingham Forest. A home win, driven by the energy of the occasion, a goal from Palmer, and hopefully a solid defensive display, helped by the return of familiar faces at the back. But we want to be honest with you. Chelsea need to be better than they have been in recent weeks for this to happen. It will not come easy. Why Monday matters beyond just 3 points. There is something bigger going on here than just a Premier League fixture on a Monday afternoon. Monday's game is about identity. It is about a club asking itself what it really wants to be. Chelsea have had a strange season. Big wins followed by baffling defeats. Brilliant individual performances followed by team-wide collapses. The signing of so many young players with so much potential has been exciting, but potential without consistency does not get you results in the Premier League. The return of Colwill and James, two of the most important players in the squad, feels like the beginning of something, like the club is starting to get its proper foundation back. Two experienced, technically gifted, defensively solid players who know Chelsea inside out. Getting them fit and available gives McFarlane and the team something they have been missing for a long time. And if Chelsea can put together a performance on Monday that matches the effort and belief they showed at Wembley, maybe the final weeks of this season can feel like something to look forward to rather than something to endure. Outro. Let us watch this together. So there you have it, the full picture heading into Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest on May 4th, 2026. We have Levi Colwill on the verge of his first involvement since that ACL nightmare began in pre-season. We have Reece James back in training and potentially available. We have a team that just produced a brilliant FA Cup semi-final performance at Wembley. And we have a home game against a Nottingham Forest side that is in form but carrying their own injury concerns. This is the kind of game that can swing a season. It can bring belief back, it can remind a squad and a fan base what is possible, or it can deepen the frustration if the same problems that have plagued Chelsea all season show up again. One thing is certain, though. With Colwill potentially pulling on that blue shirt again, even if it is only for a few minutes from the bench, this match already has a special feeling around it. He has worked so hard to get back. He has been patient when patience was all he could offer. And this Chelsea community, the Lucy Chelsea Analysis family, has been right there following every step of his recovery. Monday is his day. Let us hope it is Chelsea's day too. Come on, you Blues.